And hello, and welcome to Impact 2025, our continuing conversation where we talk about all different types of topics. We discuss current events, we discuss race, we discuss religion, we discuss whatever you want to talk about. This is that safe space for open conversation. And so we address what's going on in the real world, and we provide you an opportunity to come on and address it with us. And you can participate in the process by typing in your questions and your comments into the comments section. Feel free to do so. Whatever you want to say. If you have a question, if you want to say good job, if you want to say I disagree with that, if you want to make your own point, please feel free. The comment section is open for you to do that, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or whatever other way that you may be watching. I don't know. But feel free. Type your comments into the comment section. As always, when we start, I like to remind people of the different offerings that we have here. On Thursdays, we have our weekly Bible study. It's called Thursday Thirst. This is an opportunity to review the Bible, to go through the Bible, to take that deep dive. That is at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Facebook and YouTube. So again, that's on Thursdays. On Sundays, we have worship service. That is at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please join us for that. That's on YouTube, Facebook, and in person on the address that's on the screen. And then on Tuesdays at 7 o'clock, we have a time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. This is when you can pray with the ministry, with the people in the ministry. Everybody in the ministry is praying at some point in time between 7 to 7:45. You don't have to pray the whole entire time. But please pray with us at some time during that. And then, of course, at 8, we have Impact 2025. Before we get started, we are for those of you who may be looking from a different locale, we are in the Richmond, Virginia area. And here in Virginia, we are mourning, well, people that I know are mourning the loss of a great musician named D'Angelo. He was really famous in the early 90s. Well, not early 90s, the mid 90s to late 90s and the early 2000s. And he passed away today at the age of 51. Pretty young guy. Relatively for pancreatic cancer. Sorry, I can't say it. So one, that's always a reminder to please get yourself checked. Unfortunately, cancer has taken another person away from us. So just wanted to shout out, because I know people of my age group, a little older, a little younger than me, we remember D'Angelo. Coming on to the scene and everything like that. So I just wanted to make sure I gave a shout out to that, because again, this is Virginia, Richmond, Virginia. He was one of our natives, product of here. So just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. Also, so the big story that's going on right now, that everyone pretty much has probably heard about, is that there has been a ceasefire in Gaza. Now, we're not going to discuss that today. And the reason and rationale that I have for that is we don't know. There's supposed to be a ceasefire. Living hostages that were in Gaza were released. That was about 20 people. Hostages or prisoners that were in Israel, Palestinian prisoners that were in Israel were released. We're talking about 1,900 or so people. And so they were swapped out. There's been a deal talking about disarming Hamas, all this kind of good stuff. If you go online or you go on to the news, you'll be able to see all the information about that. It's fresh, it's brand new. Don't have enough information to really talk about it right now. As much as there's a ceasefire, there was 5 Palestinians that were just killed today by Israeli soldiers. And so you don't really know how these things go. We hope, and many have been praying for lasting peace when it comes to Israel and Palestinians. When it comes to Gaza, too many people have died. But we're not going to be, from my standpoint, it's too fresh, it's too new. It's not a lot to talk about there, because we just don't know. And again, like I said, as much as there's supposed to be a ceasefire, people just died today. So you never really know how these things are going to go. So we'll wait a little bit, but we will discuss it here. But let's see a little bit more about what's going on, and hopefully nothing goes on and it's just continued peace. And then we can talk about all of the issues and everything surrounding that. So what we're going to talk about is a little bit more nuanced. And it is an interesting topic. I think it's an interesting topic. You've heard about this topic, and it is the Super Bowl. It is the halftime show of the Super Bowl. There is a artist named Bad Bunny. He is a Puerto Rican artist. Well, he's a U.S. artist born in Puerto Rico. He sings and performs his songs in Spanish. Doesn't have any English speaking songs, and he is going to do the halftime show. The halftime show has been a major thing. It really started being a major thing back when Whitney Houston did the halftime show. That's the history. They're saying that Whitney Houston was really the big one that made the halftime show become a big thing, and then many others have done the halftime show. There's been diversity. Originally, you had a lot of artists who were supposed to play out to, I guess they call it Middle America. And then more recently, we've had artists that, for that younger population, Usher and things like that. But now they have Bad Bunny. And so there's a big uproar over the fact that he doesn't have any, English speaking songs, that he only has Spanish songs. And so some people have said that this is a disrespectful thing for America. Some people have said that he doesn't need to be performing. And even one organization has said that they're going to have their own halftime show. There's oftentimes alternative programming for the halftime, but they've decided that they want to have an all-American halftime show. And you already know the irony, just like everybody else knows, which is Puerto Rico is America. It is not a state, it is a territory, but it's in America. They vote, they have representatives. It is America. They pay taxes. We send them funds, they send us funds, it goes back and forth. If you go to Puerto Rico right now, which is a short flight when you're talking about from Florida, if you were in Florida and you wanted to fly over, I think it's less than 30 minutes, you don't have to have a passport because it is a part of the United States. And so it's odd that they're going to say that they're going to have an all-American thing. But that the uproar has been that. Is that, okay, even though we have people here who are citizens, we're going to call them not Americans. Even though there's people that are citizens, they're supposed to speak English. If all of us do know from our studies in school that the United States does not have an official language, nor does it have an official religion. So other countries do have official languages. They have official religions. The United States has neither. We've never, as a country, said that this is our official language, this is our official religion. And so when we have these kind of discussions, it does show sometimes a lot of people's assumptions or their lack of memory when it comes to their grade school education. When they sit back and they say, well, this is the United States, we're supposed to speak English here. That's our language. It is and it isn't. It's funny. English is one of the more popular languages across the world, but yet no, it's not the official language of the United States. And so we have people saying things like, "This is wrong. This is a mistake. You should not have anybody doing a halftime show who can't speak English. This person is not representative of America." And things such as we're going to have our own all-American halftime show. And so, generally speaking, like, what are your thoughts? Yeah, if you have any, put them in there in the comments. My question is, why do we want to treat someone who is American so poorly? Here's the thing. I've seen a lot of singers, and I know you have too. A lot of singers and a lot of artists, and they'll come out there and they'll sing their songs, and nobody got a clue what they're saying. They may hear if sometimes there's some rap, rap artists nowadays with their auto tune and everything, and it all sounds like a computer, and it's like, I don't know what they're talking about. When I was young, and rap artists used to all try to rap real fast, like secret rap fast. One of the artists who rapped really fast, his name was Twista. He was just, woo, I can rap really fast. I ain't have a clue what he's talking about. Bunch of singers. Mariah Carey, great artist. She does this singing where she kind of does like a whisper, where they sing and they kind of whispering. Don't know what they're saying. And then, of course, we can all think of songs where we really don't know what the words are. We think we know what the words are. We slide them in all the time, but we're probably saying the wrong words and the wrong content. So it has never been a thing for most people of why can't I understand all the words? Half the time, we understand most words, but we don't understand all of them. So what is it going on? Why are we talking about this particular person as if they're not American? And why is it disrespectful to have somebody who speaks, who sings in Spanish? He can speak English. He talks all the time. He was on Saturday Night Live the other day. So what is going on? Why are we attacking people like this? Well, I'll tell you. I think it's, generally speaking, I think it is a racial attack against people with a Hispanic background, Hispanic lineage, Hispanic, anything that has to do with Hispanic and Hispanic culture, Hispanic everything. We've already been given the ability to legally profile people. ICE has been given the ability to legally profile people based on race, if they're Hispanic. So based on race, based on where they work. Supreme Court has decided that, hey, it's okay to go legally, it's okay to profile Hispanic people. So we've already taken away their rights there. Can't do that to anybody else. We're sitting back here. People are being detained who are U.S. citizens, being treated poorly, who are U.S. citizens, and then people who are here without the proper paperwork, whatever you want to call them, illegals, illegal immigrants, whatever, illegal aliens, whatever the words you want to use, being treated poorly, being pulled off the streets, disappearing, not telling anybody, being forced to be in these camps, which is, if you believe in the process, that's fine, but they're being made to sleep on floors a lot of times, concrete floors, given the aluminum blankets. One of the reports that I've read, whether it's right or wrong, is that the process about what they do is they put you in these detention camps and try to want to break your will so that you'll self-deport, because they know in a lot of situations they can't just deport you because they don't have the legal authority to. They have to put you through the process. So they want to just hold you long enough that you can self-deport. Now that's what the report I read, and I would be honest with that. I don't know that to be 100% accurate and true, but that's what I've read based on of what's going on out there. And so then that comes to, we're already treating Hispanic people poorly, I believe. What is this whole thing about? You're not American. So now we're just sending that signal that, you know what, no matter who you are, no matter, if you were born in Puerto Rico, no matter if you were born here, no matter if you immigrated here and you got your legal status, you're not us and you'll never be one of us. And they're just trying to make that very, very clear. Like, you're not us. And your job is to assimilate and do what we say. You can't, don't be over here speaking that Spanish. You need to be speaking English. That's the message that they're sending. But you're still not us. All right. At least 14 non-Americans have performed at the Super Bowl. Several country music artists have refused to participate in the alternative event. That's a good point. That's a good point. And that's the crazy part about it. We're not checking people's statuses at the door about whether or not they are legal or not. A lot of these artists, and a lot of even the people participating in sports, a lot of folk are from Canada. And we never even, we don't think about that part. Not only are they born in Canada, they'll still be citizens of Canada or own dual citizenship. But we're mad because what? We're mad because he's Hispanic, I believe. And I believe that it's a direct reflection of there's a I don't want to say war because that's not the right word, but there's a lot of hate towards Hispanics right now. People who are Hispanic and who are proud to be Hispanic. Not people who are assimilating Hispanic, but people who are proud of their Hispanic heritage, not those who are gotten here and then decided, well, I'll just keep the last name. I'll keep the last name Cruz, but that's the most you'll ever know about my Hispanic, me being Hispanic. It's just my last name. Outside of that, I'm just American. Those people, that's great. But if you celebrate yourself, you celebrate your heritage, you celebrate from whence you came, then I think these people are being bullied and being shown that you're not one of us. Now, why is that? Why is this important for the church? Two reasons. One, we're supposed to be loving one another as we love ourselves, I believe. That's where I'm coming from. But also, you look at where these people are coming from, and you realize that Central America and South America has some of their official, many of these countries, their official religion is Christianity. So the United States, who doesn't have an official religion, a lot of these their official religion is Christianity. A lot of them are Catholic. And so you have a high population of Christians who are coming up here, a high population of Christians when you're talking about the Hispanic community. And yet, you have people here in the United States who want to treat brothers and sisters in Christ poorly, just based on the language that they're speaking and based on their heritage. And I think it seems extremely odd. Extremely odd. Now, maybe some of that is the fact that there are a lot of Hispanic churches, and you see a little bit of a separation there, because one, they may be speaking Spanish, people feel comfortable with one another, and so I think sometimes when you have pride in yourself, and I think that's where people get a little bit caught up. You have pride in yourself, and you kind of want to be with others who are like you. There may be a little bit of a separation. And so now people are hating on them like, well, you're not over here with us. You're not acting like us. You're not one of us. You're one of them. Like somehow their Christianity is different from ours. And I think that, regardless of how you feel in the United States, whether you think that somebody at the Super Bowl should be speaking English or whatever, somebody at the Super Bowl should be, I don't know, whatever. I think as Christians, we need to support one another. We need to support people. We need to be able to treat everyone, and we need to be an example and show people how you need to treat others. I don't care if Bad Bunny was, not American. It's an ignorant concept to sit back and say, well, we need to have an all-American halftime show at the Super Bowl. Why? Why are you mad that somebody is speaking Spanish and you can't really, you can't understand the songs, but even though they're on the top of the Billboard charts, he's a major artist. And so you may not be able to understand it, but you may like the beat. You may like the performance. Why can't other people enjoy it? The ones who can speak Spanish. At the end of the day, if it was a jazz, and it was, I think Kenny G did it one year. He ain't got no words in his songs. So what, you was mad at him? So it should be let's have an all audible, words only Super Bowl. You have an alternative thing for that because you don't like how he plays the clarinet, flute. I don't know what he plays. But it's the silliness of what's going on. And I think we have a responsibility to speak towards that and speak against that. And we have to be that example and show people, hey, look, man, it should be loving one another and not just trying to hate on one another just to hate. I believe there are groups who just want white people to represent America. Currently, there is a disdain for people of color. If you speak French, you're okay. If you speak German, Latin, etc., you're okay. Hispanic people are considered brown. Yeah, I mean, we don't need to gloss around it. That it's what it is. There is a big white supremacist. There is a big racist community, and it's growing and growing and growing even more here in the United States. It's always been here. Let's not act like there's been some kind of different thing. But right now, it's become mainstream, where it's okay to be Outright race is just anytime. And again, as Christians, we have to push back against that. And so when you're thinking about the organization that said that they were going to have is the Turning Point USA. I mean, just an outright racist organization that doesn't hide it. You know, they are racist and don't hide it. You know, it is the mainstream, the biggest mainstream like college age group, you know, racist organization I can think of. And so, yeah, that's what they want to do. Basically, if it's white, it's right, and you know anything else, they're not messing with. They're not messing with. And so, you know, I like that comment. But even French, they're not messing with you if you're French unless you're white. You know, because French is one of the leading languages in Africa. A lot of the countries speak French, and so yeah, you speak that French, or you do that New Orleans French. You speaking that Creole, and you're coming up here. It's still not messing with you. It is a disdain right now for anything that is black and brown, and we have to be the example and the light and kind of push back on that. And you know, it's dangerous a lot of times to push back nowadays because people are worried about getting in trouble and getting canceled or saying the wrong thing. But we got to speak the truth. You got to speak the truth. You know, hey man, if you're gonna get in trouble for speaking the truth, that should be an honor. The question I would like to ask: do the same group of people have the same issues with the Bible being in a different language? Oh man, that's an outstanding comment. There we go. But you know, Bible's in Hebrew, and so you know, are you not even just different languages? Period. And so yeah, you have your version of the Bible that has been translated into English, but are we sitting back here? Y'all, you got a problem with the Bible, and you're only able to do anything with it because it has been translated, and you think that what it was always in English? Like, all right, if you didn't have King James, y'all have been in trouble. The King James version, you know, way back in the day when they really started popularizing, was able to really put it out after the printing press, you'd be in trouble. You'd be in some trouble. But yeah, that's a good comment. Like at the end of the day, how can y'all even read the Bible? And then maybe that's the thing, y'all not reading the Bible. Because how you even read the Bible? Because it's not talking about, you know, white people. It's talking about Jews, and not the same Jews that you see now today. It's talking about the Middle Eastern Jews, not the ones that have come from other countries and then been put there, but the ones who are originally there, the ones who look like more brown than they do white. And so you're sitting here reading the Bible of a lot of brown people. And of course, you got the Romans that are in there as well, but you have a lot of brown people. How do you? They don't speak it, so they're not speaking English, and they got brown skin. So how do you wrap your head around that? That's a great comment, and I think that's the issue. You know, there's no way these people are reading the Bible because they can't act the way that they're acting if they were. You know, you can't sit back and say you're a Christian and you're being Christ-like, but you don't follow any of the teachings of Christ. And so they obviously don't know, because it would be hard for me to believe that these people know what the Bible says and just refuse to follow it. But maybe it's the reality of what they're doing. But I think that they most of them don't know. They're not reading the Bible. They're probably not reading it because, you know, it's about a bunch of brown people. You do know that Jesus was white with blue eyes and blonde hair. Check out the picture in our churches. Check out the dude on the cross. Yes, of course. You know, yeah, that's the one. With the hair like wool, you know, that blonde hair that's like wool. Yeah, that's the reality. There is this thing, I guess, where people just believe what they, you know, that everything they believe that picture of Jesus, and that's their understanding of how the world works. And so that's why Bad Bunny can't be an artist, you know, at the Super Bowl, because, you know, he ain't blonde hair and blue eyes. You know, they need, it's crazy. But yeah, again, I think our solution is not solution, but what we have to do is just constantly push back on that kind of stuff. We got to call it for what it is. And, you know, unfortunately, those people who, you know, in the media landscape, a lot of them are running scared, and there's very few who push back. Now, there are some who push back and they can call a spade a spade. But I think more people we need to talk about just racism. It is racism. Unfortunately, we have allowed it to creep in and creep up so much that now it's become mainstream again. We've gone so far back. We thought we had this big push when we had Black Lives Matter and George Floyd and everything, and we had some push forward. But that push back, that return, that revenge that they came with was hard, fast, and swift. And so now you have, again, on college campuses, Turning Point USA, a racist organization that is now being put on college campuses across the nation. And you even got politicians talking about, you need to make sure you have a chapter there. And if you don't, then we're going to try to pull your federal funding. So now it's federal sponsored racism. Think about that. Think about that. Like in the early 2000s, you would have never thought, okay, we're going to have federally sponsored racism again. And then, we got racists in the White House. I mean, our commander-in-chief right now has said so many racist things, have done so many racist things, and people always, are sliding forward. And so now we just have to literally, as they say, speak truth to power. And so as Christians, we have to just show people the way. We have to be examples, but we have to continuously speak the truth. And we just can't let it slide. And unfortunately, that's what we all have been doing from time to time. We just hear that craziness. We be like, oh, whatever, man. Whatever they talk about, I ain't going to deal with them. I think we got to deal with them. And so we need to really speak truth to the power. And so unfortunately, we have to ruffle some feathers, makes people feel uncomfortable by saying, hey, man, that's just racist. So if you don't like Bad Bunny, that's fine. If you think he's not American and he doesn't belong in the Super Bowl, you're racist. Here we go. It's just like that. And you're like, no. A couple of years ago, we had some black artists. We had Usher, we had Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson back in the day. They were cool. We had Prince at one time. We're not racist. You're racist. Because, I've told the story many times. I knew something was different. When I was a young man, I was in my mid to late 20s. Cops drove up. I was hanging outside. It was me and my friend. The cops drove up. They looked at me and then my friend. I was like, oh, here you go. Here they go. They kept on driving. They saw a bunch of Hispanic boys. They were standing outside just like we were. They went over there. They stopped. They started harassing them, getting out the car, talking to them, making them turn around, do all this kind of stuff. They drove right past me and my friend, two young black in our 20s kids. We weren't dressed all proper, and just regular clothes on, just hanging out. But they drove past us, and they drove over to those Hispanic boys. And that's when I knew. I was like, look, things is different. Things is different. We still on the list. But if they got a choice between getting us and getting them, they're going after them. And so because we know how it is, and for so many years they would come and harass us, we gotta support them. Whether you're a black, white, brown, or whatever, what's right and what's wrong. And so right now we know that our brown brothers and sisters, Hispanic brothers and sisters, legal, illegal, speak Spanish, speak English, speak Portuguese, whatever, we need to support them because everybody is our neighbor. And everybody, whether you believe in God or not, our brothers and sisters in Christ, and we need to be treated like that because God made everybody. And so that's how I come forward. And that's what I think our solution is that we got to push back. We got to push back. And when it comes to this racism, let's call it out. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. I will say it again. That alternative Super Bowl show, when it's our all-American show, racist. All right. Well, thank you for the comments. I think we hit it right on there. That may have been a little bit more rougher than what we normally do, but I think it's important that we, again, call out racism and we call out hate. As always, I want to remind people again, on Thursdays, please join us for Thursday, our weekly Bible study. This is where we do that deep dive into the Bible. So you really, we really understand what our day-to-day tasks are and how to approach life. On Sundays, we have worship service from 10 o'clock, or at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Facebook, YouTube, and in person. And then, of course, on Tuesdays, we have our time of prayer from 7 to 7:45. Please join us. And as always, join us at 8 o'clock on Tuesdays Eastern Standard Time, Facebook and YouTube for Impact 2025. Thank you for everybody. And join us again.
Sometimes you'll want